Paradoxes are intriguing puzzles that challenge our understanding of reality, logic, and human behavior. They often reveal the limitations of our knowledge and force us to question the very fabric of our beliefs. In this article, we will explore 10 famous paradoxes that are sure to captivate your mind and leave you pondering their implications. From time travel conundrums to mind-bending logical dilemmas, these paradoxes will keep you engaged and wondering. Let's dive in. First, the grandfather paradox. Imagine you had a time machine and decided to travel back in time to prevent your grandparents from ever meeting. If you succeeded in doing so, it would mean your parents would never be born, and consequently you would not exist either. But then, if you never existed, how could you have traveled back in time to prevent your grandparents meeting in the first place? This paradox highlights the inherent contradiction and logical inconsistency in the concept of time travel. Next, the liar paradox. The liar paradox is a classic example of self-reference. It arises when a statement refers to itself in a way that creates a contradiction. The most famous instance is the statement, "This statement is false." If the statement is true, then it must be false, but if it is false, then it must be true. This paradox challenges the nature of truth and the boundaries of self-referential statements. Third, the Ship of Theseus. The Ship of Theseus paradox revolves around a philosophical question. If all the parts of a ship are replaced one by one over time, is it still the same ship? The paradox becomes even more perplexing when you consider that if you were to assemble all the original parts that were removed, you would technically have another complete ship. This paradox raises questions about identity, continuity, and the nature of objects over time. Fourth, the Fermi Paradox. The Fermi Paradox ponders the apparent contradiction between the high probability of extraterrestrial civilizations existing in the vast universe and the lack of evidence for or contact with such civilizations. Given the billions of stars and potentially habitable planets in our galaxy alone, many scientists believe that advanced alien civilizations should exist. However, we have not observed any definitive signals or encounters, leading to the question, where is everybody? Fifth, the bootstrap paradox. The bootstrap paradox, also known as the ontological paradox, involves a causal loop that defies traditional ideas of cause and effect. In this paradox, an object or information is sent back in time and becomes the basis for its own creation or discovery. As a result, it is impossible to determine the origin of the object or information. One famous example is a time traveler giving Shakespeare his own plays, and then Shakespeare publishing them under his name. The plays exist without a clear origin. This paradox challenges our understanding of causality and the concept of an original source. Sixth, the twin paradox. The twin paradox is a thought experiment in special relativity that involves two identical twins, one of whom goes on a high-speed space journey while the other stays on Earth. When the traveling twin returns home after a significant amount of time has passed for them due to time dilation, they find that the twin who stayed on Earth has aged much more. This paradox showcases the strange consequences of Einstein's theory of relativity and challenges our intuitive understanding of time. Seventh, the unexpected hanging paradox. The unexpected hanging paradox is a mind-bending puzzle that involves a prisoner sentenced to be hanged, with the executioner informing the prisoner that the hanging will happen on a surprise day of the following week, Monday through Friday. The prisoner reasons that the hanging cannot occur on Friday, as if it did, it would not be a surprise. Therefore, the hanging cannot happen on Friday. However, this leads to a contradiction, since the hanging can then be expected on Thursday, and so on. This paradox challenges our ability to reason about unexpected events and the boundaries of surprise. Eighth, Zeno's paradoxes. Ancient Greek philosopher Zeno of Elea devised several paradoxes to challenge the concept of motion and the idea of infinite divisibility. One famous paradox, the dichotomy paradox, argues that to reach a destination one must first travel halfway there. But to travel halfway one must first travel a quarter of the distance, and so on, leading to an infinite number of steps required to complete any motion. Zeno's paradoxes have troubled philosophers and mathematicians for centuries and have spurred discussions about the nature of space, time, and infinity. Ninth, the paradox of choice. The paradox of choice, introduced by psychologist Barry Schwartz, suggests that while having options can be beneficial, too many choices can lead to anxiety, decision paralysis, and dissatisfaction. In a world with seemingly endless choices, individuals may struggle to make decisions and may constantly wonder if they made the best choice among many. This paradox is relevant in the modern consumer-driven society and raises questions about the balance between freedom and overwhelming choices. 10th, the friendship paradox. The friendship paradox is an intriguing phenomenon wherein, on average, your friends tend to have more friends than you do. This happens because people with a large number of friends are more likely to be part of your social circle, influencing the average. While it may feel counterintuitive that your friends, on average, have more friends than you do, it is a statistically proven paradox that offers insight into social networks and human connections. Credits. Written by Olha Kozaczun.